just give it a couple more minutes. I don't know if people get confused with the link that's being used, and I missed sending it out to a couple people who need it. So I think with the change and everything last week. Has everyone's return from Snowpocalypse 2021 been okay so far? Any big hurdles? Oh gosh. First day with stable electricity and internet.
What was your question, Josh? I did not hear it.
I was just asking how your return back from Snowpocalypse last week was. Is there any interesting things that have occurred that have made it more difficult?
No, it's just it feels nice to be back in the office. Just or to be able to go back to the office and being back on campus with faces.
Yikes. Piling trash. That's how it was outside of Liberty for a while. I think that's just a result of everything. Okay, so sorry guys. We are about to get started. We're just waiting on a few more people to file in, but we also have a couple more people that will be just a bit later. So I hope I didn't make it confusing, that I didn't really make an announcement as to the fact that we won't be in person, but as today was supposed to be the day we were supposed to be doing that. So as you guys can tell, we are not, and that was just to reflect the fact that we are taking classes online. And I just want to be respectful of the fact that if you aren't already on campus, or if you were supposed to be on campus, the chances of you already being there are less likely. So let me just organize all my things right now, because it's kind of sort to keep up with everything. And then I will get started really fast. If you guys can see the agenda, is that correct? Okay, awesome. It's the first time it's been up there in a while, so I'm glad to have done that. Anyway, so to start out, as always, Robert put the link out. I'm going to click it right now because I'm often that one person that he remarks that has not yet clicked on it. So I'll do that before I get in trouble. Now I can't speak to if you guys should after having said that. So I just request you guys click that whenever you can. And if we need to send it out, just back out, let us know if you can't see it for some reason. So next up is open forum. Is anyone in attendance to speak for open forum tonight? I am not seeing any. So I will move on, and no one is here for speakers podium. I would like to let you guys know that to expect someone for speakers podium next week, and I believe that'll be the faculty senate president and the staff advisory council president. Dr. Richard Helpers is the faculty senate president, and Cindy Blundell is the staff advisory council president. So they'll be coming to speak next week on some of the progress that the university committee on diversity and inclusion has been talking about in kind of conjunction with me. So that'll be pretty exciting to hear from them, just some of the stuff that we may be helping them on with students on a student perspective. So that's just an update from them, and they'll be here to speak next week. And of course, we'll probably take any questions that we have about it. But anything that you guys want in the meantime, I can fill you in on. Other than that, moving forward, as you guys can see, we have finally created election dates for the coming months. Now, this is to say, for my report, I'll tell you guys about it. So election dates, March 24th and 26th are for officer elections. That means if you are intending to run for one of the, they'll be vacant at the time, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, or parliamentarian. That is the time that those will be open. The thing about those elections is that if you intend to publicly campaign, you have to attend a candidacy meeting. I have scheduled those with Josh, and I don't have them listed there. That's on me. So during the meantime, while one of the other officers are reporting, I'll be putting those in there. The deal is you have to reach out to Josh, and Josh, I don't know if we'll do a Qualtrics survey, I guess. Isn't that how we've always done it? Qualtrics survey.
In the past, some students have just reached out to me to schedule those meetings for the ones that are set, the ones that you will be sharing. They don't have to RSVP for those. It is nice to RSVP, so that way I can 100% make sure I am there. In the past, when I have hosted candidacy meetings, when there are no students present, I then move on to the next project I'm working on. So if you do plan on attending one of those, please let me know. If not, no worries. Josh will have the Zoom link associated with those published at a later time, and all you got to do is join.
And do we not have to have like a Qualtrics form of application for applying for an officer position? I thought that's why we had it in the past. Like, isn't there an application that they have to do?
Yes, that is correct. And when students apply, that the reminder about the candidacy meetings will be on that application.
Okay. So, and for more information, and just if you're confused, you want to know more about it, just email me or email Josh with whoever you email, copy the other one. That'll best connect you because I can't know what questions you're having about it. But if that helps you, then do that, and then we can fill in those blanks on that. But it'll be as easy as going. If you want to campaign, you have to have one of those candidacy meetings before you can do anything publicly. They outline the rules you're supposed to have. They're useful even if you're doubting about it, and if you decide not to campaign, you still know the rules anyway, so you're more prepared for that. So the second thing is senator dates, very similar. We will set up whenever it gets a little bit closer, we'll set up candidacy meeting dates for that. That is just for senators who are wanting to return. If you want to return next semester, you have to reapply and rerun during that election. That's something I don't think we ironed out in the past, but that is the case. If you want to be come into fall, the first week being SGA, you have to participate in that election. However, what we're going to be doing is producing a couple more marketing materials. I'll be doing some tabling stuff in the UC. We want to make this a big thing, and it's going to align with a couple of other events on campus. And it's going to be on us as SGA to try to get a strong group of students to participate. So that's going to be one of the big things that we have coming up is focusing on getting a lot of students participating in that on both ends. One in being becoming a senator and applying for it, and getting people to vote. That it literally just requires telling people about it. We'll probably do some posters and things such as that. But for a couple weeks there, basically all our social media will be election stuff, and it's going to be our charge to make sure that students know about that. So moving on, what I've been doing since last week, or I guess since we had a virtual or a change in our virtual meeting for last week, has just been keeping up with all the things that are coming around from the school, especially with conversations with strategic planning. I was at a meeting today for the strategic plan, especially in student engagement. So I got to hear from Josh and a lot of other people on campus who are doing different things and different works for student engagement, and what we expect for student engagement moving forward. And also met with the Staff Advisory Council, doing the same thing that Cindy Blundell and Dr. Helpers are going to do for us next week. So just been doing a lot of busy stuff and been busy trying to get some marketing materials for us, specifically stickers and maybe shirts down the pipeline, kind of in that regards for senator elections, getting students interested in participating in student government. I've been working on a lot of that stuff. Well, nothing's ironed out yet, just very preliminary stages. That's what I'm working on. Other than that, Jennifer could not make it to the meeting tonight, or at least right now, so we'll move on to Secretary Foote.
All right, so I finally had basically the first official wait, that's committee reports. Whoops. We're officer reports. I'm cool. Anyways, so we've had a wild week, mostly having to do my duties as an RA instead, because we had so much going on, like melting snow for 4 hours and doing stuff like that. That was definitely fun, and getting to see a whole new resiliency side of the university that I'd never seen before. So I definitely will be looking to see if we can shout some of the people out that, like, Sodexo, that did such a fantastic job at not leaving us starving during the worst winter crisis that we pretty much ever had. So I will be trying to figure out, like, along with Josh and the e-board, of how to um, highlight what happened in a way that doesn't make it look like the university did a bad job, because we did a fantastic job. So that's on my agenda. I don't know what else to say, so I will stop talking.
All right, thank you, JT, and we'll move to Treasurer Lamberti.
Hey, so I've been busy with SGAC, which I'll get more into in committee reports. I attended the rules committee this week and helped work on some of that stuff. Ended up hosting the pre-theology panel this afternoon. There wasn't just like an insanely high turnout, but it was a very interesting conversation. So that was fun. Kind of working on a part 2 to my senator project, and working on the next event for the College of Arts and Sciences that I want to do. Also, just because I found this out like yesterday, I'm graduating with summa cum laude honors. Hey, I was just really excited about that. So yeah, that's it.
Well, congratulations, Claire. Congratulations on that achievement. And moving on, and last for officer reports is Chief of Staff Ray.
So I'll do my reporting mostly in just rules. It's the only thing I have.
Alrighty. Then we'll move on and go over to communications and hear about your first official communication meetings, Secretary Floyd.
Awesome. So we had 3, I can't count. I'm pretty sure 3 or 4, 2, 3, 4, about that people show up, which is super awesome. Especially because I realized last minute that the link that I was like preparing to jump on didn't actually work, because Zoom deleted it. I was like, that's great. So I remade one, sent it out. So I appreciate all the people that hopped in there, and we had some pretty good discussions. Given that it's the first meeting, I don't feel like we got as much stuff done as probably communications meetings that were done in the past, but I feel like I clarified more of what I want to get done. with the communications platform. So yeah, if you are available 12 to 1, totally hit me up. And if that doesn't work for you, I'm considering making a second one, possibly not on Wednesdays. So that, because I know there's at least one person that emailed me and was like, I can't meet 12 to 1, can only meet at the original time of 3 to 4, but I have a class at that time. So I'll be working at a second time. So if you do want to come, but you can't make 12 to 1, just email me, please. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much, and from the communications committee, and we'll move on to SGAC. Do you need sharing privileges, Claire?
Yes, I will. So, but while he's doing that, we approved another event to take place in SGAC. I cannot stress this enough, guys, though. We need people in SGAC. Like, this is like the one committee that we just physically cannot do anything if people don't show up. Not discounting the importance of all the other committees, but it is like imperative that we have people at SGAC. We're working on ideas to get more student organizations involved with SGAC, make them aware of the funding that we have. Working on maybe an email loop idea, trying to reach out to the heads of student orgs. And now I will go over the budgets. Oh, I still can't share my screen.
What? I tried to do it. I guess I didn't do it right. See, it's probably because I'm
You should
not
have the
host on
ability.
this account.
You should have the ability now.
There, yeah.
Ah, okay.
I'm on a new account every week. It's just a little, it's like a game of Twister, but with the account.
Okay, can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Okay. Load up. Okay, guys, so this is the budget that we have. Can you see my mouse, like my cursor? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, great. So this is the budget that we have, that we started with. This is how much we've spent right here. So this is how much money we have left in our SGA account. And you can see we haven't spent, we haven't even spent $2,000. So we have our SGAC events that have been funded. I'd like to see that all the way down to here, if possible. We have our senator projects, and we have the one small event that we did. Guys, I want to be able to add more lines to this for the senator projects. Like, I want there to be so many senator projects that we have to add spaces. But yeah, so that's the budget that we have so far. Those are our only expenses.
Claire, could you speak to, or Josh, could you speak to like the possibility of if more senator projects come up that would require more funding, or if we wanted to put like one specific example is disc golf course renovations, is there a possibility of moving funds to be able to better cover those things, or some of the senator projects that have already been brought up that would need to be brought back in a later time? Is there a way we can designate more funding if that's what we decide to do?
So yes, so you know what Claire showed you at the top, that's as the advisor and the budget authority for the Department of Student Engagement. That's what I am looking at, is your bottom line. You know, for me, it's important that not just student government, but each of the areas that report to me, that we are fiscally responsible with student fees, and that the money is going back to students. And so when we're not, when we are not spending the money, then you know that you know I think that we need to look at ways that we can make sure that we are giving back to the students. And so because they that is what they're expecting, and so they have paid for a service, they need to have an opportunity to obtain that service. So the budget that y'all voted on back in the first or second meeting in August, I believe, was this breakdown. However, the Senate or the executive board can make a recommendation to move the adjusted amounts to different lines. And so if we were to run out on SGAC, but you know what, we're not going to spend any money on large events like Midnight Breakfast, well, let's move that $3,000 or 4,000, however much it is, over to SGAC and or to senator projects. And so the Senate has the ability to vote on changes and to move things around if needed, or if the Senate's comfortable with the e-board or Claire to do that, that is also okay as well. But for me, as the advisor and budget authority, it's important that we are good stewards of the student fees and that we also don't overspend. So that's something that I make sure that none of my accounts, we get close to that. But at the same time, I want to make sure that we are using it. Otherwise, we need to be giving it back.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And so I think that's exactly right. And I think something that I'll bring up a little bit later in this meeting so we can discuss further ways to use that, and so it doesn't sit around and just collect dust. So thank you for that, Claire. And do you have anything more to report before we move to rules?
Nope.
All righty. Thank you so much. And you go ahead, Robert, with Rules Committee.
So we've, over the last few months, we've been working on just making sure that there's not any amendments that need to be made to the rules. Basically, when we first approved them and got them recently changed, there was a few things that we noticed along the way. We approved them, and then during this process, talking to ONA and then reworking them and then finally getting them fully approved, we found a few things that needed to be corrected during that time. Those things have been corrected, but I've just been holding and waiting till now until we have a chance to actually approve them. So some of those things I'll be presenting later on in the meeting.
All righty. Thank you. Thank you, Robert. And then we will move on. Sorry, I need to open up my other window here. So I want to move on, but I want to move away from student voice reports because not only there was kind of a kink in last week, I didn't want to throw anyone under on the student voice reports. Now, if anybody has, I'd love to have a discussion about them. And I think that's a better facilitator of discussion, and it's not just limited to other people. But I would say that next week, I want to circle back around to, I would definitely want to circle back around to distance campuses and pharmacy school, because that's something that we've had problems with, and then housing, just because I think that's a good one to cover, because those are all things we've had. So housing senators, and I know that's broad, but housing, distance, and then pharmacy, because those have had many concerns in the past weeks. I'd say that would be good to hear from you guys next week. But I did want to circle around to something else later. So I think I want to reserve that time that we would normally discuss, unless anyone has anything really pertinent right now. We'll move on to old and new business. All right, and sorry for that change in that plan, but I think I have a couple of discussions I want to bring up, and hopefully it will substitute that time and get us be timely for this meeting. So that being said, do we have anything to bring up for old business?
Yeah, so do I need to make a motion to discuss?
Yeah.
Motion to discuss my senator projects just as a conclusion.
Motion seconded.
Okay, I just wanted to kind of give y'all an update since it happened. It went really well. Gave out all of the bags within like 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes. Everybody seemed to really like them and everybody seemed to want them. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm planning to hopefully do a part 2, since it seemed to be a really popular idea. So.
All righty. Thank you so much.
Do I need to close discussion? I know we got in trouble for that last time.
Yeah, we got Josh to last time. Yeah.
Yeah. How do I do that?
Just motion to close discussion.
Motion to close discussion.
Motion seconded.
All righty. So thank you. And that's really cool to hear that you followed up on that, Claire. That's actually would be a cool thing for us to do and to start doing more often as we do those type of things. So with that, does anybody have anything else to add in our old business? All righty. So moving on to new business, the first order that I have is to formally nominate 2 people to our judicial board. I know that, and I always forget, but in the past, Robert, am I just supposed to say and formally state that I'm nominating these two people and then they vote on them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll start with the first one. The first formal nomination is Gerardo Rodriguez. Served with us in the past and served with us for over a year and a half. He couldn't find the time for this, but I think he's going to serve well in the judicial board and would collaborate well with them. So we'll do that and just keep it orderly. We'll do one at a time, and I'll move on to the second one after this. But does anybody have any discussion to add for that nomination, or we can move to voting? Not seeing any, so I guess we could move on to voting for that nomination. Yeah, go ahead, Robert.
I was just going to mention, I assume everyone remembers and knows who Gerardo Rodriguez is. He has served for quite a while, done a lot for SGA, as well as I look back and his attendance is perfect for the last 2 semesters. So, well, dedicated member. But he hasn't been there this semester very much because he wasn't able to attend these meetings this semester. That being said, yeah, if somebody wants to motion to vote.
Motion to vote.
Motion seconded.
Alrighty, thank you guys. And so with that being said, we will move to voting. And Robert, if you could pull up our voting. Thank you so much.
I can't vote. There we go.
Yeah, we can remove you.
Alrighty, sorry, I'm writing something down, guys. So that passes, and we will let Gerardo know that he has successfully been nominated by the Senate for that position. So thank you, guys. And second off, we'll do another judicial nominee, Arpanal Nepal, another long dedicated member of SGA, someone who serves both SGA and her campus very well, is a very dedicated student and student leader on campus. So if you have had the joy of knowing her, she is a wonderful representative of everything that she does, and that is my own personal take on that. However, does anybody have any more discussion or any discussion they'd like to add regarding Arpanal Nepal? Alrighty, seeing no comments, going once. Alrighty, then I see that we can move to voting if somebody opens the nomination or the motion.
Motion to vote.
Motion seconded.
Alrighty, and then Robert. Should be good, Robert. Alrighty. And so that's unanimous, and we'll move forward and let her know as well. So thank you guys so much. That's really cool that we're getting those filled up, and it's good to know that we're filling those spots with good people who will be dedicated to it for, I hope, is a long time. And just to let you guys know, we've decided to make those judicial nominees rerun for their position or be renominated for their position at the end of this semester. And that's just to fit in, even if they were to be nominated next week or today, they'll have to go up for renomination at the end of the semester on the same day, on the last meeting of the semester. And that's just to set a precedent of when that year starts for them. So that's just to let you guys know that that's what the e-board decided to move forward with in that regard. So with that, does anybody have another piece of new business? Robert, I know you had something.
I was just going to comment on what you had just said, if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So right now, we have 7 out of the 8 justices, which is great. So then, of course, right now their activity is very low, but the reason we keep them and make sure that their terms are up and monitor that very well is because in the situation where we have an appeal process, there are appeals board basically. So they need to be on hand and ready whenever the time comes. So that's why we're trying to make sure that they're good to go. Obviously we haven't had many appeals, but in the situation that it does occur, we need to have them prepared and ready. And
Yeah.
so then I can continue on if you want with the discussion. If there's a motion to be made, I can motion to discuss the SGA documents.
Second.
There's motion to take it. Go ahead, Robert. Are you gonna share the screen a little bit?
Yes, I will. Let me pull up what I need.
Ready.
Okay. Does everybody see my mouse?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to move to the top, just make it clear that, so we have no changes, and I can send this to any of the student representatives, any of the senators that want to see. And then I also have a PDF version, but the reason I have it in Word format here is so that we can view the edits very easily. That makes it very convenient for us to look at comments and things. And so let's see if I can click. Okay, so in this section, I've changed, it was called quorum, but we didn't have any description of our General Assembly. And so the description of our General Assembly has always been something that is assumed. And so I wanted to make sure we had a section dedicated to it. So in our General Assembly, we have quorum. You can see the red part has been changed. Quorum was marked out, General Assembly was added. Very little change in that sense. Our General Assembly is an open meeting. We've defined what an open meeting is. This is our definition of an open meeting. This is always, and if we read the comment here, this is already SGA policy, precedent, and the official rule, but it was not clearly stated. So this hasn't actually changed anything, but it wasn't stated beforehand. And so we have had a number of problems that have surfaced as a consequence, as well as potential problems in the future, especially with our meetings being switched to online. This portion here, again, this was edited before this semester even started. Everything in red has been changed. Only the first statement still, everything still says the same thing. We just added an if possible here because the decision will be up to the advisor on whether we could hold a meeting on campus for judicial board. Judicial board meetings are considered closed meetings. And then this is the definition of closed meetings. The only thing that's changed is what's in red. And as you can see, most of that doesn't change the effect of what's happening. These are just to clarify, because when we read through these afterwards, we realize, oh, wait, this could be interpreted to be this. So we need to clarify the language and make sure it's clear. And judicial board meetings, just like executive board meetings, are closed meetings because there's often deliberation of sensitive and personal information in those. So moving on, this is the Chief Justice. We don't even have this. This was something that was removed. Again, we just weren't going to decide where that person sits if they decide to come to General Assembly. Also in red here, this was already here. I just added a link. So even though you can't tell, this is a link. So if I were to leave my mouse over it, it would link you to this closed meeting section.
Nice.
So I just added that in because e-board meetings are closed meetings, but it doesn't define what a closed meeting is in this area. That definition is up farther up. So the link has been added. Once I turn off the markups, you can see there that there's a link. And that's what it will look like when it's completed. And I want to say that's everything. Yes. So does anybody have any questions on those? Okay, so, and Josh, you might actually have to clarify for me here. Does this have to sit for a week? I know I have the rules right in front of me. I might have to check that for the amendments process.
Yeah, we double check the amendment process. I think there's no harm in tabling it for a week if the new amendment process rules doesn't specify. I don't think it's 30 days. The old school used to be 30 days.
Okay, so the official process here is we have to introduce it in the Senate and General Assembly meeting during new business. I guess I did this during old business, but this is business that we've talked about before, so I guess that would be acceptable. Then it has to be open for discussion for all members present, and then voted on or tabled for a future meeting, but it can only be tabled one time. So if we table it this week, we have to vote it next week. We don't necessarily have to approve. We could vote nay, but so we have the option of voting today if we want to.
Well, I think just like for the order of like good, and I know the intentions are good and the changes to it are minor. I think in the interest of setting a good precedent for changing rules, that a motion is created to table it, and not because I want to hold it off. I don't see it as anything that like these rules aren't important enough for right now, like where we need them in the next week. Well, I think just for a precedent of having a week after this happens every time from now into the future is safe, just because I think you're well intentioned, but what if a parliamentarian in the future comes up and makes all these changes and they're just like, oh, we never give you guys a week to review it, so let's just vote it in. I think that's just my opinion, and while it doesn't mean anything in the eyes of the Senate, you guys get to decide. I just wanted to put that input in there. I was thinking that as we read it.
In that circumstance, we would just vote no.
Are you saying
if there were a circumstance where the changes weren't necessarily beneficial to the student government or necessarily approved by the student government, we would vote no to not approve those rules. So
okay.
So what we can do, and this will actually work out. So we'll table this, and then now that I've shown what the changes were, I'll actually just send out the official final PDF to all the student government through the Engage platform. And that way you will have the rest of this week to look over those sections that were changed. I'm not going to send out the version that I just showed you. I'm going to actually send out a PDF that has it completely finalized, but you'll know where those sections were that were adjusted. And if you want more information on that, you're welcome to come to Rules Committee and we can discuss it further.
Okay. Well, I think just to clarify, and I think what we're basically asking is if we should table it for a week, that way everyone in the Senate has a time to review it and provide input if they have any by next week. And if you guys want to do that.
So I'll go ahead and say motion to table the discussion on rules for next meeting.
Motion second.
All right, so we would need to vote on that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Do you have a voter really fast?
A yay vote means we are tabling till next week.
Alrighty, then we will have that on the agenda for next week then, to revisit. So, as Robert was stating, he's gonna send that out to everyone. And that'll be sent out to, you guys and for review until next week. Now, as it was noted, the changes aren't major, but the reason for us doing this is to kind of set a precedent of, doing it further. Yeah, I see that. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me a second. How should we do that, Robert?
Well, so I would just let everyone know real quick.
Okay, so we lost quorum because people had internet connection issues. So just with that being said, just by the order of things, we can still continue to have any discussion, and I know that that's a bummer to have because there's not a lot we can do about that. But the good thing is the orders of business that would have to be voted on are gone. So as it always goes with this thing, if there's no orders of business that we can vote on, but we can still have discussions. So that being said, if you guys would like to continue, I'll continue as we normally would. Just know that it's not an official meeting anymore. But we can conduct it as such. We just can't make any formal discussions or votes. So the next thing I wanted to do, and what I wanted to bring up to you guys, is having a discussion for student events. And as it's not a formal meeting in that traditional sense, we don't have to make that formal discussion. But I wanted to ask you guys, after seeing the budget, if you guys have any general ideas, or if there are any general ideas that we could do to engage with students. To bring up something I've said in the past, the current president is interested in finding events that engage students in the safest ways possible. And he seems really adamant on creating large events that would provide that normal college experience. And that's just what I've heard from him. And one thing I've talked to Robert about is doing a student forum, similar to how we did pizza with the president in the past. But I wanted to know from you guys, Robert, actually, can you explain that idea? And once Robert explains his idea, you guys provide input on it, and then provide like any ideas you guys might have that you think students would come out to. Because eBoard, I think, does this all the time. I know Joshua Nees does this all the time, but we never sit down and talk about it with you guys. And we literally have like over $20,000 sitting around. If we don't use it for something like this, then we don't get to see it again. So it's just my idea on something. So go ahead, Robert, with what your ideas were.
So right now, SGA is very small. We've been this small before, but we're struggling to meet quorum on a regular basis, and we're usually down to 1 or 2. And so I think 2 things need to happen. First off, in this online scenario, people aren't getting to interact with us as much as they should. And so I know in the past I would have been interacting with students on a regular basis, and I don't think I've seen anybody in 4 weeks. So that's one thing. I want us to have an opportunity to actually meet and interact with students for their benefit, to talk to us, but also for us to reach out to them. And we need to recruit members. This would be a good opportunity for do it. My idea was to, in the past, if you've been aware of it, we've done what's called pizza with the president, not President Minute, but the actual president of the university. And everybody comes, checks in for just a moment, eats pizza, talks to the president. He's actually there to interact with people. And I thought, hey, we could meet the SGA president, or rather just meet the SGA. So we could have it where we just say, hey, let's have all the senators, everybody in the SGA will be there, and you can come around and actually talk to the specific senators that you wanted to talk to and introduce yourself, get to know them, as well as give us the opportunity to say, hey, you should join. I think it could be a good outreach opportunity for us. And one benefit of that is it's just a come and go. So we wouldn't have to worry about the large quantity of students all at one time.
I like the idea just from a student engagement perspective. Josh, is that something that's possible? or what could that look like from your perspective of safety and your thoughts on it now?
I think it's 100% possible. I think, especially if there's food involved, as long as it's grab and go, and that we do it in an environment that we can control, as in making sure it doesn't get over 50, since that is kind of the event cap right now for on-campus events. I think it's a good idea. I also want to suggest that I think most of our leadership team would be happy to participate. So, Dr. Calhoun, I think it would be a good opportunity as our unified president to do that. So that way students know that we have a new president. And then also meet some of the other leadership team, the provost, Ona, Joe. A lot of folks don't know Joe yet. Jerry and Dr. Laird. And so there's been some changes as far as leadership. And I think this could be a good way to for students to know who they are and get to know them and kind of hear from them on what to expect in the future, since there's a lot of new things on the horizon.
Alrighty, and do you guys have any input into like creative ideas for it? I know pizza is the one thing we did in the past. That's easy and relatively cheap, but it's not exactly the grab and go style. Now there's a way we can do it, but from you guys who may have hosted an event already, do you have any ideas? I'm willing to hear from anyone, and that's why I wanted to do this, because it's not something we really talk about. And I saw it as this meeting gave us a little bit of extra time to do that. And I think this is a perfect time to do it. Or forever hold your peace, I suppose. Nothing. I see a Dawn over there. I could tell a Dawn's like squirming to say something.
I am definitely thinking of something to say to you. I am thinking. I will get back to you, hopefully before this meeting ends, but for sure soon, with an idea. I will get back to you.
All righty, thank you. No, Andy's and ice cream is something I thought of. I know that has to be pre-sealed or made and easily grabbable, and they don't have to touch any more than one thing for it. And I think there's a lot, and just so much as like giving your guys ideas, because this is an event both for students. We want to know what students want, but you guys will also be there. In fact, required to be there. So I think it's going to be, unless you're a distance center, I don't think we'll hold Taylor and I to driving 4 hours for the event. However, I think it's interesting to talk about. But other than that, is there any ideas? I know one thing we brought up in the past is doing a creative form. Now we're a little late in the semester, but doing a creative form of midnight breakfast or something to substitute how big of a tradition that was. And again, this was just supposed to serve as a time to get your guys' opinions on it. We have a lot of money outstanding, so it would just be really cool to see us use that for something, or for senator projects, re-emphasizing the senator projects. But any more ideas? Because definitely just a time to share. I mean, the state of the meeting right now allows that even better than normal. So. But if there's none, I do want to reiterate, as far as us having events, I will be tabling and starting next Tuesday in the UC. I'll be down there, hopefully with some of the older stuff we have, get rid of some of that stuff. And then after spring break, we'll have some of the new marketing materials come in. I would love to see you guys down there, even if to sit with me. We can only have 2 there at a time. That's going to be my cap for it. I probably won't sit there often. Just because it'll be a really kind of engaging with students, but kind of that piece I talked about earlier about getting students interested in elections, be it to serve as an SGA senator or to vote. That's really important. If you guys are in the UC, please make time for it. You shouldn't have class then, so if you're on campus, I'll be around there and would love to see you guys and see. It would be cool to have a friend there to do it with, so for sure. So does anybody have anything to add as a discussion for new business before we move on? We can get some remarks from Josh before we go. No one's jumping at the hook, so
I do have
Josh,
one question.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Taylor.
When did you want us to bring our guests to the Senate meeting? I remember it was supposed to be last week, and then that got kind of weird.
Well, yeah, I mean, actually any SGA meeting, but today would have worked. Any SGA meeting in the future, if you have a guest who wants to join, I think his name was Justin. He was in here earlier, but he left just shortly after getting in here. So anytime you would like to invite, they're willing to come, just send them the SGA link, or get them connected with me and I can send it to them.
Okay.
So, and that was actually something that I'm sure Josh will hit on in a second. So Josh, I don't know, unless there's any questions, and you can go ahead and get any comments that you like. I'm not seeing anybody, so you go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I'm never a fan when we lose quorum. I think the way student government's set up, if we have every seat filled, then it's a much harder to lose quorum. And so as large as UT Tyler is, I know that right now with the pandemic, it's not ideal. But I really want to try to do a better job, y'all to do a better job of filling those seats to make sure that every area is properly represented, and that the voices of the students are being heard. And so that way y'all can work on addressing those. I think some of the student engagement things that y'all have discussed, I think those are a great way and a great start. I think it's also a good time to also promote elections. So this could be a good segue to say, hey, join this semester. If you like it, run for Senate for next semester, and kind of, kill two birds with one stones. As we, hopefully we don't have any more snow apocalypse anymore. And that as we move forward and the weather becomes more consistent and nice outside, that y'all can start doing more and be more present in person. And then also, I think the in-person meetings will help a lot in a lot of ways. So I'm looking forward to that. I do want to share, especially for our distance campus senators, that you also have an opportunity to host events on your campus as well. So if there's an idea that's going to cost money, whether it's getting food or swag, don't hesitate to reach out to the executive board and myself. We work closely with the staff members on each of those campuses, and we will make sure to get what you need funded for your event to happen on the distance campuses. And so that way we can make sure that we have those spots filled throughout the school year as well. I did kind of want to briefly mention, kind of touch on what JT mentioned earlier. Of course, I'm going to be biased, or people may think I'm biased towards it, but I thought the university did a great job of how we handled last week. It was kind of a perfect storm of issues that happened. I don't think you can ever plan for, well, you can, but as far as being an emergency, when we lost water, potentially power in some parts, I think there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, faculty and staff behind the scenes that happened to make sure that students were taken care of, and it was as a smooth transition as possible. And so I think as from a staff perspective, we learned a lot. We're always going to be trying to improve what we do. And so although I thought we did a good job, we still wanted to be better. So that way, if this were to happen again, we want to make it even smoother for our students. And so I'm kind of looking forward to see what JT comes up with, because there was a lot of cool stories out there. And so many folks don't know that the pool, the water in the pool was used and transported across campus to help students flush their toilets. So stuff like that. There's a lot of cool stories out there on how folks came together to support our students on campus. And I think that's important for people to know. I want to say thank you to a lot of students I've talked to, especially in this group. Y'all are very appreciative, and y'all see what the university is trying to do to make sure that situations like that go smooth. And so we are appreciative of y'all for being respectful and willing to be patient and work with us as we get through a really bad, situation like that. And so I hope everybody's okay. I saw in the chat that student is just now getting their utilities back, and I hope everybody's doing okay and has recovered, and hopefully we finish out the semester strong. That's all I got.
Oh, I was muted. Alrighty, thank you, Josh. And I had the second, that kind of the same things that I think the school did a lot, and there was a lot of cool things happening that are just the function of a community coming together during a crisis like that. So, with all that being said, I don't have any more to cover, and considering the state of everything, I just wanted to say one thing. There is a UT Tyler basketball game tonight at 7:30. I'm going to try to stop by after I run to the mat right after this. If you guys want kind of a cool experience, that was a really fun thing to do this time last semester, or this time last year. And we're going to try to go out there and make it as much of a fun time as it was in the past. So if you guys want something to do this afternoon, then that's happening tonight. I just want to let everyone know that because sports are still happening. But if anybody has anything else, we can hear that really fast, or if not, then we can motion to adjourn the meeting. I mean, Adon said he had something. He said he's going to have something, so I was counting on him. But
the cogs are still turning, man.
All right, well then.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we do t-shirts?
Yes.
Like,
well, yeah. What?
Can
go
we
ahead.
have t-shirts?
As like SGA member t-shirts?
Yes.
Now, I mean, it is possible. We've ordered polos in the past, as Robert's modeling for us up there. I mean, the possibility of doing t-shirts is possible. I mean, it's something we could do, and I think it would be a cool thing, kind of in the realms of polos. The reason we did the polos is for the expectation that we would be in person. Whenever we're in person, it'd be really cool to all be able to wear the polos and match. But I think it's something to pursue. However, we could just it's something we could discuss. How about this? If you want to like think of those things, I know that JT's committee. So I just lost what it would be. JT's committee would be somebody who could discuss that. I don't think it's out of the realm of our possibility. I mean, I don't know where we are in polo levels right now because the situation, I don't know where they even are at the moment. So we can look at that and we can discuss that later. If you email me, that's something we can look at because it's something I'm working on right now, actually.
Okay.
I know you did email me about it.
Okay. I forgot about that.
And maybe we can rally some support from these folks to do it. Adam, to Andy's, I didn't say no. It just depends on how they carton their product. Depending on if we could get it on campus, I mean, I think it's possible. Depending on who and or how they do it. That's something that Jennifer, if we get an event like that, churning kind of like ice cream.
I believe they are an approved vendor, and they do have the ability to do single serve. They were at the last preview day, so Andy's is a popular choice.
All righty. So, I mean, Adam, that's something that you can talk to Jennifer about, because if this, I think we'll go forward with this event because it would be a really cool thing to see between officer elections and new senator elections, or we can get Pokios. I mean, the opportunity is all ours, and I think it would be a really cool event, kind of a commemoration of everyone's school year as well, and leading right into SGA senator elections. But I'll talk to Jennifer about those things to let her know all the ideas that came forward today for Robert's ideas. So that being said, I don't want to keep you guys any longer. We don't have the motion to adjourn because of the, I guess, loss in quorum, I guess, Robert. So I mean, I think that's how we would do it. However, you guys can behave as you wish. So Robert, is that fine?
Yeah, so once we've lost quorum and the meeting is concluded, as per your statement, then we're done. Technically, from the time we lost quorum, we were allowed to leave, but often there is in the rules, it actually says that we can continue the meeting only under the discussions so that we can still make progress without actually doing any voting. So because many times someone will leave and then someone else will show back up and we'll have quorum again. If we cancel the meeting immediately, then we would have a problem. We would have lost and we wouldn't have had any progress that day. So
Yeah.
And Adam, you mentioned in the chat, you asked about quorum. So right now we have the quorum today was 13. And there's in the section that we just talked about, section 2.3C in the rules talks about, I'm sorry, section 2.3 in the rules talks about the quorum, if you want to look at that. And I'm sending that email right now. So look forward to, expect that to come.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, then everyone is free to go. Like I said, basketball game this afternoon. And if you guys have any more ideas or anything else after the meeting, just feel free to email me. You know where to find me at. Thank you guys for coming tonight.